Students, good morning all of you. So today we are going to discuss third chapter in the geography, which is our changing earth. So guys, the name itself gives the chance to think about that what's this our changing earth. Guys, there are some plates on our earth which is somehow every year shaking itself and moving here to there from some inch, like the lithosphere. Let's start the chapter. The lithosphere is broken into number of plates. Okay, so guys, we have already discussed that what is lithosphere. Lithosphere is nothing but the soil area where we are living into number of plates known as the lithospheric plates. So guys, this is the plates, and in actual way this plates is nothing but the ideal way or the ideal continent where we are living, like Asia, Africa, America, South America and North America, Australia and Europe, and the Antarctica. So these are to be known as the plates. In a scientific way we known it as lithospheric plate, and you will be surprised to know that these plates move around very slowly, just a few millimeters each year. So you come to realize when you look at over the movement of these plates, and the movement of this plate causes changes on the surface of the earth. So the earth movements are divided on the basis of the forces which causes them. So the forces which act in interior of the earth are called as endogenic forces. So the force that work on the surface of the earth are called exogenic force. So the force which earth feel from internal side is endogenic, and from outside side is exogenic. What is endogenic forces? Sometimes produces sudden movements. So this endogenic forces produce sudden movements of the plates, and at the other time produce slow movements. Sudden movements like earthquakes and volcanoes cause mass destruction over the surface of the earth. So this endogenic forces sometimes produces sudden movements which we are to be known as earthquakes, and volcanoes cause mass destruction over the surface of the earth. So you know about the earthquake. When earthquake comes, it spread lot of destruction on earth. We lost houses, we lost many buildings and properties. And the same way volcano, if in a jungle volcano is blast, then it causes to take the fire in whole jungle, and whole jungle burnt out. In some other case, volcano is very highly made by from jwala, and it is also the magma over there, and it is formed by metal, and the the soil, the lava which is formed by metal and the soil, it is a mixture of the metal and soil, which is very high in temperature. You cannot even touch it. Okay guys, then you have a lithospheric. Similarly, when the lithospheric plates move, the surface of the earth vibrates. So these plates are individually different from to each other, and when these plates vibrate we feel earthquake, and this earthquake is crust where the movement start is called a focus. So the place on the surface above the focus is called the epicenter. So that particular epicenter is over there. So guys, the epicenter is something from where the that vibration of earthquake was started, that is to be known as epicenter. Look at this destruction. The earthquake hits Bhuj in 2001. Okay, 26 January. You can ask about it to your mom dad, please. Your mom dad will give you all kind of answer regards to this. The earthquake which was come on 26 January 2001. Even I was a young child over time. Okay, so I didn't know about properly, but you can ask to your dadaji or your mom dad. They will answer you that what they felt over that time. Okay, then we have a major landforms. Guys, land is also divided in major landform, the thick layer of uh, levels, and there are some levels you can see over here. This is the thick levels of the layers of the land which arrange naturally. It is arranged by God, or we can say by not God but scientifically. Then scientifically it was arranged automatically, and then we have these landscape being. So the landscape is being continuously worn away by two processes: weathering and erosion. So weathering is the breaking up of the rocks on the earth's surface. Erosion is the wearing away of the landscape by different agent, agents like water, wind and ice. The eroded materials is carried away or transported by water, wind, etc., and eventually deposited. This process of erosion and deposition creates different landforms on the surface of the earth. Work of the river. The running water in the river erodes the landscape. When the river tumbles at steep angle over a very hard rocks or the down steep valley side, it forms waterfall. So a river itself form the waterfall when it flows from one direction to another direction, and that landform is cut and then start some valley. That valley produces a waterfall. Okay, look at here. So as the river enters the plain, it twists and turns, forming large bends known as minders. Due to continuous erosion and disposition along the sides of Minder, the ends of the Minder loop come closer and closer. In due course of time, the Minder loop cuts off from the river and forms a cut-off lake and called Oxbow Lake. So, guys, just imagine the river comes from some side, and when there comes the rainfall, in rainfall this river becomes very wide, and when suddenly this summer starts, this river becomes very low in the guise of Broadway, and then comes the formation itself of lake, and which lake is known as Ox Blow Lake. So guys, sea cave and sea arc, how it forms. So the work of sea waves, the erosion and deposition of the sea waves gives rise to coastal landform. Okay, So the sea waves continuously strike at the rocks. When there is a rocks, this sea waves you can see when you visit any sea in Arabian Sea or Indian Ocean. You can imagine or you can view that particularly sea waves comes on the rock. If you have visited Marine Drive in Mumbai, you can also see that. So those cracks developed over a time, they become larger and wider. Thus, hollow like caves are formed on the rocks. They are called sea caves. So, as these cavities become bigger and bigger, only the roof of the caves remain, thus forming sea arcs. Further erosion breaks the roof and only walls are left. And these wall like features are called stacks. So so guys, this is something which you can see when you observe your sea. Like there is a form of the rock, and because of that wave, sea waves, it breaks down and it formed the sea cave and something which is also known as sea arc, which is the hollow part of that sea. So these wall like features are called, sorry guys. So this the steep rocky coast rising almost vertically above sea water is called sea cliff. Okay, the sea waves deposit sediments along the shores forming beaches. Then so this rocks breaks down in a small particle, okay guys, and that small particle comes down and comes out near the near the area when sea ends. Okay, that's why we can see the lot of small particle. uh, we always see small particles like desert, and which we can see when we are in any ocean or we are in on boat. Work of ice. So glaciers are rivers of ice which to erode the landscape by bulldozing soil and stones to expose the solid rock below. Glaciers carve out deep hollows there. As the ice melts, they get filled up with water and become beautiful lakes in the mountains. The material carried by the glacier, such as rocks, big and small, sand and silt, gets deposited. These deposits form glacial moraines. So kind of glacier are rivers of ice. Okay, this is nothing but the rivers of ice which form the landscape by bulldozing soil and stones to expose the solid rocks below. So here guys, you can imagine that in this picture, glacier which uh, which is there and only the ice you can see. The material carried by the glaciers, such as big and small rocks, sand and silt, get deposited, and these dispositions form glacier moraines. So these disposition form Glacier moraines. Then how this wind works. An active agent an active agent of erosion and disposition in the desert is wind. Okay, and disposition in deserves it wind. It makes rock in shape of a mushroom called mushroom rocks. When the wind stops blowing, the sand falls and get deposited in low hill like structure. These are called sand dunes. When the grains of the sand is very fine and light, the wind can carry it over long distances. When such sand is deposited in a large area, it is called loess. So these are the air where these air formed some dunes. This sand dunes nothing but formed by the area which is over there, and from form with the air pollution air. And this you can see the large disposition of loess is found in China and in our desert. And when the wind blows it, so this is a kind of area where one such sand, and that's because of that air this sand shifted from one way to another way, and these are called sand dune, and this form a kind of structure you can see in imagery. So such kind of scene you can see in desert if you visit. So students, we will meet in next lecture. Okay.